All right, so I'm pretty sure Dave wants to go in there to save the day again. So yeah, I'm gonna give him the last word on this playlist. Yeah, I'll connect this to the thing that I'm playing with you. So you might okay. So there's no free energy. So you so let's say we're dealing with a fundamental limit on the amount of energy that we can extract from matter, let's say. So if we were to create, so let's say we were to create simulations, then are we just consuming extra energy? And kind of like, what's the point? And especially if it's just kind of like fantasy worlds and this kind of thing, what's the point of creating these things? And I'll like okay, so I'll say that I agree to the extent that the simulations don't like obviously in order to develop the technology, people have to just play with it. However, but as that progresses, it would be to the extent that the technology pays for itself. Let's say maybe in this case, I guess you might think of it. Does it? If you're going to go 100% efficient, or if you're trying for like just the greatest efficiency, does the simulation pay for itself in terms of the amount of energy that it produces? We, if I could, we could say the same thing about the human brain also. Does the human brain produce any extra energy, or is it able to, like, let's say, extract extra energy from matter than otherwise would have been available? I guess there's the idea that there's, it's just like you have, let's say, 1,000 units of energy, and that's it. Once you use up that 1,000 units of energy, the universe reaches, heat death or whatever. And if that's the case, from Dave's perspective, we might say, well, why would we burn up extra information, or burn up extra energy on just creating a simulation? That doesn't make any sense. Or creating simulations. That doesn't, you might think, well, that doesn't make any sense. But, there's also just the question of what are we doing here? What's the point of, like, just motivation, human motivation. So, there is kind of like a why not? What else were we gonna do if that's all it is? Then what else were we gonna do with it anyway? And then on the other end of the spectrum, that's if we let's say we just have a hard boundary, and on the other end of the spectrum is could we discover new things if we had more, if we were better computationally, if we were more skilled computationally, and is this the best that we can do? And I would just say go for it, right? I mean, if at the one end of the spectrum, it's kind of like, you just kind of give up on the project, and you're just like, well, that's just the way it is, and we're just gonna not even try to do more, to figure out ways to let's say get more energy. On the other end of the spectrum, it's like, okay, well, we can at least we can try, and we can develop technologies that we think will lead us in that direction. And these things also have to integrate with human motivation, though, or just with motivation in general. However, we seem that we're motivated. So, there aren't. There might not be an answer. You would lean heavily towards there not being any leeway here. I lean heavily towards there being leeway here, just because I see even our formulas up to this point as being a product of our capacity to deal with computation up to this point. I think that as our ability to, and this is all speculation, but I think as we become more capable at managing computation, that we're going to find other things. We're going to find that there's just a lot more going on than we thought there was, and a lot more potential. It seems like I hit all the points there that kind of address what I think would be the main critique. So, I wouldn't want anyone to do it. If it's a scam, whatever. It's just not. I'm not asking anybody to do anything that they aren't interested in doing. So, and you too. I'm interested in the stuff that you do, and it would make sense. One thing that seems obvious to me is if we did have an infinite energy machine now, we would destroy ourselves with it. Like, you would only be prepared to handle so much energy at any particular time. So that's what I think. That's how I think about it. I don't know. It'd be interesting if you wanted to address the points directly. You might say, that we should focus our simulation, developing simulations in such a way that they model, that we're trying to model the way that things are, which I'm not opposed to that. You might say for efficiency reasons, why not try to make the models realistic. And that anything else would be kind of a waste. But then again, too, like, um, one of the reasons that I'm against that is when sort of like sometimes when you're just goofing or when you're messing around with something. I actually do think this tends to be the case, that when you're kind of like when you're messing around, you just learn all kinds of stuff as you're messing around. So by sort of going off the rails a little bit of what you think is the proper way to, let's say, learn about physics or electronics or whatever, that you are likely going to find new ways of handling computation, which is going to be a new technology that you can use to work with the data that we can get out of the system. So, I mean, does that seem unreasonable? So, I mean, it seems like, with what I understand, sort of like how I put the pieces together, this seems like the right way to go about the situation. And if anybody has any other ideas on how they think that you should go at the situation, then, let me know. But, I mean, short of that, whatever, take it away, Dave.